Grand Rising or something. How are we today? I am off to do the gerb. It is, I'm not gonna, you know what? I think I'm going to change the channel name. Not just yet, because now, so, as I've been going through my studies, particularly on the true universal tree of life, which is not the Sephiroth, which is not in accord with Kabbalah, because I consider Kabbalah as a practice to be a discordant magical practice. Immortal is it's got the word mort in it, which is associated with the body and the physical, and it's kind of that undyingness of the flesh, right? Which, immortal is kind of more for the kind of more of zombies, revenants, and so forth. Like the body that won't die kind of situation. Now, eternal is much more a thing of the higher forms. Much more associated with the spirit. And it is the word that is considered proper for the true universal tree of life as eternal. It is an eternal life, which is not the word that Jesus uses in your Bible. The word that he actually used in the ancient Greek was Eonian, and eon is not immortality, it is not eternity, it is not even an immeasurable number. It is a very quantifiable period of time, and eon is known as a quantifiable period of time. Right? The eon of Horus, the age of Horus, yada yada yada. I mean, you're kind of talking about, this is like the millennium, right? It's about 1,000 years. All right, 1,000 years. Where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, Adam. Or should I say Adam Kadmon? Like I said, dark Kabbalism. Which is why I used to be a fan. Not used to. I mean, I used to play. I still would. My buddy Vinny needs to call me when there's room in his group. Vampire the Masquerade. Where, vampires are based on a semi-Kabbalistic lore that I think actually exists somewhere in occult theory, that Cain, being the one cast out of the post-garden society as like the first vampire, and that was his mark, right? So that's another idea of the quote immortal, which is neat. And this actually gets me into another interesting thing. Count Orlok of Nosferatu, who it's like the mythos of Dracula, as in Bram Stoker, as the mythos itself is what Nosferatu is based on. And Nosferatu, even just being the original that it was, is much more accurate to the evils of this kind of undead. because one thing that was made clear, I was watching a very interesting video, right? And, I have to watch the movie again, so I definitely missed a handful of little things that I needed to know. One of the things I did know is that there was Solomonic magic going on in this, right? And so the evidence stands that Count Orlok used black magic to make himself undead. He has no sire. There is no higher vampiric force above him, right? And then he can make other vampires. So he's a lich. When you use dark necromancy as opposed to light necromancy, if you use dark necromancy to make yourself the undead, you are now a lich, especially if you keep your intelligence and your agency, right? So Count Orlok is still this psychic remains of the living man he once was, who had made evil decisions just to become this embodiment of death itself, this carrier of plague. And so the Eternal I have to actually really look a pinch deeper into the etymology of eternal, but there's a couple of ways that you can break it down, right? You've got the E, the Tor, and the Na'al. You've got the Et, the the Al, Et, En, and Al. So there's different ways that you can slice up that word, and it's thus that kind of the way you can cut up a word like that. It's why pronunciations, I believe, become the way they are for the emphasis, right? In the English language, we typically have all sorts of words that may actually be very damn near the same as other words in other languages, except either we have broken them apart or we have smashed them together. And in the breaking apart and smashing together, it's a little bit of linguistic surgery, as some of those words, some of those letters used to make the word shift with the new way it's asking you to speak, right? So you may lose consonants and vowels at the beginning and the end, and consonants and vowels at the stitch points of those words. Those are little things I've noticed as I have been taking my keen eye to etymology. Right, exactly. The root language, because an et means one thing, and then tor is power. And then it's null or it's or earn, tur. Right? See, the N, I want to make sure I know exactly what's going on. I don't remember what's going on precisely with N. I remember Narcasor for N, and things like that. So that's a little off me right now, but we all know all alt means all. Like all is all. Right? So all things. Right? So, and then eternity, eternity. What's up, Penguin? Yeah, Penguin, Parsons, Theo, how's it going? Anyway, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. So yeah, I believe this Saturday I'll make an announcement. I'm doing something with Derek and one of our friends in network this Saturday, sometime in the in the afternoon in Eastern Standard Time. So be on the lookout. I'm not sure if that's happening on Awaken Your Mind or what exactly, because the times I've been thinking about it is when Derek hits me up, and sometimes he hits me up when I got no time to think about everything else. Otherwise, it has been a dead cold, month. This has been a crazy month where everything's been hovering around the freezing point. Thankfully, the ice has not been a problem. But this definitely feels like the coldest January in recent memory, where it's just this consistently at this temperature. Like, I remember prior Januaries getting this cold, sure, but usually there'd be like, maybe it's like this for like a week, and then it gets a little bit warmer, and then it may drop back down, right? But for it to basically like stay below 40 degrees, I don't think we've had a day above 40 degrees since the solstice. And my job's in a warehouse, and as you know, most warehouses do not spend money on heat insulation. So it's going to be about 45 degrees or so inside. I'll probably have to wear a coat. Hey, Nick Oracle, how you doing? Nick Oracle's a friend from Library of the Untold. You should also check out Library of the Unknown channel. If you like what Joe Phipps does at Library of the Untold, Nick Oracle does these occasional. I think it's all reactions, right? She'll have like a small panel on, and she will do reactions and muse, riff, weave off of the thing, kind of similar to what I was doing with the Box Saga. And Nico, if you didn't hear, I've done all the Box Saga stuff with the exception of when and if I get some interviews for it. I'm hoping that a little bit later on, I can ask Michelle Merrill again if he'd like to come on and talk. So that's why I've moved on to the Nine Doors of Midgard as a fun little light read. As part of the occult and magical study and practice to improve oneself. So anyway, really defined my personal identity and development since like the end of 2021 really was really just letting everything about the old me that I didn't like die. And and pushing for a new me to emerge, right? And that involved kind of seeing new things, because me being so interested in trying to figure it out for real and just really driving myself nuts, looking at every angle, going down all the rabbit holes, right? Rabbit holes, it's an underworld labyrinthine maze that can get you way more confused and in a state of existential dread than you realize. To scale the alchemical mountain, perhaps one could say to follow the path of the goat. Because nobody scales a fucking mountain like a goat, baby. To scale the alchemical mountain, this is bringing you to a pinnacle. This is something where even when it is dark, it is clear to see. Because there is still moonlight, and there is still starlight. There is still the ambient light of the world itself. You're not shut off from all things. You have a climb, and that definitely puts you above everyone else. And climbing the mountain is a different kind of terrifying. It's a known terror. It's self-evident. You're climbing the mountain, you could fall and kill yourself. Right? Where you go down the rabbit hole, it's just like you're going down there, it's dark, you can't even see the horrible thing that's going to happen. Right? So it's these allegories, you know? And, you know, you go down the rabbit hole in that sense for a test of courage. You go down there to know what the fuck it is. You go down there for lots of reasons. But we've made the rabbit hole our journey, and it's spread our consciousness thin. And our consciousness was spread very thin by 2022 as a whole. And that's why I changed so much in that period of time. I needed to change my direction completely and say, like, look, I didn't really take myself as a fucking victim before. But I also, my state of mind and my course of right action was not even close to reasonable. And, it made me see how much of how I needed to take care of things versus trying to have a conversation with the world about dealing with some bigger problem. Right, especially because at that point I was just like, I may be an activist, but I'm not an activist so I can be an activist as my entire identity in a world without end. Right? So I wanted to be done with that kind of activism. I needed to change who I was. Would I jump back into a quote activists kind of thing? And of course, activism means something different, right? There we go. Hopefully that keeps going. All right. So a lot of my values changed. A lot of the manner in which I advocated for things changed. You know, like I couldn't talk to people the way I used to talk to people, right? I think that this is, you know, it's just like, I care for many voices on the scene. Voices that have worked very hard to elevate people in different manners, including, you know, via healthy conflict of ideas, which hopefully don't go into the realm of quote personal and so on and so forth, and or whatever it is, you know. And my buddy and colleague James True had not too long ago, you know, some interesting things to you know, to talk about, like, and you know, like amongst other people that I've heard too that I've got no idea who they are, you know, like them, you know, to talk about, like, you know, their point of view about who we are as a society, trying to understand it, trying to understand ourselves in it, and so on and so forth. You know, especially when we're of the witness that can see the difference, you know. And there was, you know, the criticism of, you know, who Mark Passio has become in his work, right? Because of the guarantee of how he's going to talk to his audience, right? And my compassionate comprehension that I see it as, that I think I know from having missed a whole lot, right? It's, you know, without sitting there saying, well, like, it's not that I fucking even disagree with the exception of one or two things, which, you know, wow, you know, it's just, you know, well, what are you gonna say? His last name's Passion. James True's last name is True, right? It's just like, we're gonna have elements of us that are gonna be in sympathetic resonances with our names, you know. Which, unless you go through a lot of ritual to break from that name, including, you know, in the legal realm. But anyway, hi, I go by Zeralath Eternal. But anyway, shoot. All right, so I think that there's a time and a culture that you grow up in that has certain values that shape the world that they want to live in. And so they have the ideas, the epithets for everybody. And we don't live in a world of fucking gurus and drill sergeants and things like that. And if you become like the guru or the drill sergeant to insert yourself into that world, under the assumption, because the way the conversation is that we can, you know, somebody ought to step up, activate activism, right? To, you know, to inspire, to encourage, to demonstrate the way, so on and so forth, right? And of course you're doing this from an anarchist's perspective, because you're not trying to actually lead, you know, in that sense. I mean, you're leading yourself, and you are putting out your witness to the manner of your lead, like it's what I do, right? As well. Oh, come on. Getting to that point where my GPS doesn't want to fucking play nice. Because I had it all, it was working today. There it is. Then it started going in and out. But anyway, just about where I don't need it anymore. So where was I? Yes. So a whole lot of particular people who are around him, I believe, and they were lying to themselves around him, and he didn't realize that they were lying to themselves. And I think that made him that upset, because that's the kind of thing that makes me upset too. So I'm right there. I'm right there with Mark. If I was in his shoes, if I was surrounded by a bunch of people that were blowing smoke up his ass about the future, and everything was in perfect accord according to that time and place. Sorry, there we go. Shit got real. People got selfish. And I think that's the unfortunate fucking bullshit that happened. And we're talking about some very real, some very serious shit. And so, yeah, I would too. I mean, like, you know, if I was Mark and I put my fucking face out there and I'm on the fucking radar of these motherfuckers and they still exist with the ability to fucking do things like, you know, like stage fucking problems for people. You know, if they still have the ability to stage fucking problems for the fucking voices, you know, like serious problems one ought to be fucking scared of, per se, then yeah, I wouldn't fucking blame Mark for reacting the way that he did. You know, because anything less of a reaction is pretending that it isn't what it is, when it fucking is. Right? And I'm not gonna fucking tell Mark Passio that he's overreacting, because he's not overreacting. He's fucking facing demons in the world on a whole fucking level, right? And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have fucking learned on that level too, because I had hopes for what I thought I saw Mark was doing too. So I'm glad that he's that upset, because I think I would have been angry at him if he wasn't that upset. Right? And I hope that he finds the fucking best way to fucking get this done right. You know? With the power that he truly has as one of the many good dragons among us. Oh, what is going on here? Anyway, I think that's a good place to call it. I'm wondering why traffic has come to a stop, and I'm 2 minutes from work. Okay, I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.